wanted to move his name to make it its own thing. So there's a lot of different figures throughout history that the Black Panther as the animal was used in. So they were trying to, back then in the 70s, figure out how to make him his own character.
So, I actually want to talk to you about Prince T'Challa's or the Black Panther's superpower.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Technically, he doesn't actually have superpowers. All he really has is enhanced strength, speed, stamina, and his other senses are only really enhanced.
But how did he get those?
He got those from a heart-shaped herb that his people actually use because it supposedly helps them get in touch with their primal state.
Mm-hmm.
So it connects them with a panther spirit.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So the Black Panther is a ceremonial title given to the chief of the Panther tribe of the advanced African nation of Wakanda. And so the story is that a long time ago that this meteorite crash landed in Africa near the areas of Wakanda and its neighboring tribes. And from this meteorite, they were able to grow this herb shape. Is it an herb or heart shape?
Heart shaped herb.
Okay, what he said. And that is where the first leader that took over the nations and was the head leader of all the tribes and nations, he said he had a vision of the Panther God that told him to take this herb and that it would give him the power to lead the nations.
Yeah, that is very correct. So, pretty much what happened was several other people decided that they wanted the power of the Panther.
Mm-hmm.
So, they decided that they were going to start war between each other. And that actually caused a split between 2 or 3 groups. I'm thinking it's more.
I'm actually going to look that information up because I want to know the information. So, the meteorite that crash landed with, of course, this is fictional, y'all. It was a vibration-absorbing mineral called vibranium. And they unearthed it. And then they decided, because they felt like outsiders would exploit Wakanda for its valuable resource, their current ruler at the time, King T'Chaka, like his father and other Panthers before him, concealed the country from the outside world. So it was decided that they would have a ceremonial ritual that if any of the leaders from any of the neighboring tribes that were part of Wakanda and its neighboring tribes wanted to wear the mantle, they had to take part of this ritual. And if you won in the ritual, then you would take the herb, correct?
Yes, that is very correct.
Okay.
So, pretty much what this trial is pretty much you have to survive against every other tribe member the head.
So you had to fight. So you're telling me basically the ceremonial ritual of the battle between the tribes, they each had their own champions, right?
Yep.
And so you had to basically battle all the champions and defeat them in order to get the mantle?
In a sense, yes, but it's kind of you're all spread out through a jungle. So,
right, but we're talking about the actual ritual that they did. So basically, it wasn't always a one-on-one. It could be more than one?
Yes, that's very true.
Okay, so I guess the thing that I'm more interested in learning about is one of the things that I noticed is that there's not a lot said about his birth mother. Like, that's the part that I didn't, really get the information on. So that is one of the things I'm planning on researching and finding out more information. Another little tidbit fact, and this is for my grown-ups who are readers and are familiar with Eric Jerome Dickey. He wrote a novel series based off of T'Challa, the Black Panther, and Storm. He wrote their story from his point of view, and it was actually turned into a TV series on BET. And in that particular series, they talk about some of their origins and them growing up and how they met. So that's one of the things I would love to actually possibly talk about, because as this is a family friendly show and we're not only targeting our young readers but also our older readers, and we just want to make sure that we are talking and exploring the idea of how books cross generations. So there's definitely a generational gap between Mr. Animated and myself. So I love the fact that we're able to come together and talk about these books and then actually read them and review them and things of that nature. So like last year, I know you had something exciting happen at SuperCon, which is now named GalaxyCon.
Yes, I actually met the voice of Black Panther. His name is James C. Mathis III.
Right, he was the voice of the one on, was it the BET show or was it the actual animated series?
I think it was both.
Okay, that had to be a dope experience.
It was super exciting for me.
Okay.
I never thought that I would ever be able to meet one of the voices of Black Panther.
Well, I definitely think that is a dope thing to have happen. Hopefully this year you'll get to, what you have in the show now, get to possibly see him again and maybe get an actual interview. I think that would be kind of a dope thing to do. Okay, so we're going to wrap up our facts of the week and we're going to get back into this book, but I know we need to shout out the sponsors for the week. So shout outs to GalaxyCon Louisville. That is this Friday through Sunday, November 22nd through the 24th, down at the Kentucky International Convention Center, located in the heart of Louisville downtown. Shout outs to Mary Walls Media Brand Group. You can reach them at Mary Walls Media Brand Group at gmail.com. They are a publishing and author resource. Also, shout outs to Power 106.3 FMKY Radio and the whole team of Power 106 and all of our shows. You can follow us at www.kyheartmedia.com, Power 106 FMKY Radio, and all streaming platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. And shout outs to Diamond Elite Design Customs. You can follow them at Diamond Elite Design Customs on Facebook and Instagram. So you ready to get back into this book?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's go.
Are you okay, hun? She peered over the desk as Donovan T struggled to stand upright again, unable to make his lungs and mouth work at the same time. Donovan T waved his ticket frankly at a poster on the wall. Ah, the Wakanda exhibit. Downstairs, son. And hurry, they're starting any second now. After clearing security, Devontae staggered toward a set of stairs in the middle of the room and headed down 2 steps at a time. Security guards glared at him just in case he posed a danger. Skidding around a corner on the slick marble floor, Devontae saw a crowd gathering at the door of a gallery with a red ribbon blocking the entrance. At the back of the crowd, looking anxiously at her, stood his mom, who was in the process of pulling out her phone. She was tall and lean, with a long braid tied up in a halo around her head, and secured with a white headband that contrasted with a mahogany color on her skin. Devontae thought his mom was the most beautiful woman in the world. At 10, his buddies had started teasing him about how cute his mom was.
He didn't like thinking about his mom that way, and he definitely didn't like his friends thinking that way, even if they were right. When she saw her son skidding around the corner, a look of aspiration flickered across her eyes before she sighed. "Why are you late?" she hissed good-naturedly as she gathered him in her arms and began a futile effort to try and straighten his clothes into some semblance of acceptability. Devontae shrugged and squirmed, trying to free himself from his mom's insistent efforts at grooming him. Out of the corner of his eye, he could see some girls about his age in the crowd, and he knew he was losing major cool points with members of the opposite sex by having his mom smooth down his shirt and use a baby wipe on the corners of his eyes. But he also knew she'd only get louder and more insistent if he fought against her mothering instinct, so he suffered through it. "This is important to me, right?" his mom whispered in his ear, finally satisfied with her efforts. "It's been years since we've seen the king, and after all of your grandfather's stories, well, this is important. I need you on your best behavior, okay?" Devontae smiled, knowing his mom's moods as well as anyone else did. He gave her the puppy dog eyes, knowing that would make her melt. "I promise to be good. We are going to the new museum next, right?" She snorted and gave him a quick hug. "I know that look, mister. Better than men than you, including your dad, have tried that with me. And it worked too, didn't it, Mom?" The sound of wood chimes cut off her good-natured retort. An elderly, gray-bearded docent shelved in, escorted by two of the most powerfully built women Devontae had ever seen. One was tall and wiry with dark bronzed skin. She was built like a professional basketball player, but she moved impossibly light on her feet. A scowl seemed permanently imprinted on her face, and her dark eyes locked on each face in the entranceway from behind dark sunglasses, looking for danger. Her companion resembled an Olympic gymnast, compact and quick. Her head moved from side to side, sweeping the room, and the device wrapped in Lyrica-looking band around her arm. She was as dark as her partner, but her skin seemed to glow with her smile, as if she had a secret that would make her laugh out loud if she were to share it.
Both women were bald and dressed in matching skin-tight blue-black pantsuits. Devontae could see the quiet communication between the two as the taller one nodded, then disappeared into a nearby anteroom. The elderly Descent cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, the Smithsonian is pleased to welcome you to the National Museum of African Art and the opening of our new Wakandan exhibit. This collection, whose pieces were empowered to counter physical, social, and spiritual challenges,
were commissioned exclusively for this exhibit by our guest, who graciously took time out of his busy schedule to come join us here today." The man coughed briefly and grinned broadly, his white teeth shining brightly. "I could continue talking, but I'm just as excited to hear from our speaker as you, so I am going to get out of his way. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present to you our benefactor, the Black Panther of Wakanda, His Royal Highness, King T'Challa." Devontae heard his mother's sharp intake of breath. He desperately tried to stand on his tippy toes to see through the crowd, which burst into applause. As Devontae peered around his arms and overheads, he could barely make out the slender, dark-skinned man now walking next to the bald Amazonian bodyguards. When he got a better look, Devontae was slightly disappointed. He was expecting a king. This man looked like a magazine model. The man's walk to a small dais set up in front of the ribbon was graceful, like one of those Harlem dancers his mom had made him see at the Kennedy Center. Instead of crown and robes, he wore what Devontae assumed was an expensive black business suit with a kente cloth sash draped around his shoulders and chest. In fact, now the applause had died down, Devontae could see that King T'Challa wasn't much older than someone of the recently graduated teacher's assistants at his middle school. A hint of a beard covered his face, and the smile he gave the crowd didn't quite seem to reach his piercing brown eyes, which darted around the room, locking gazes with the adoring audience members. T'Challa raised his hands for silence as he settled in next to the beaming docent. One of the bodyguards handed him a few note cards and whispered something into his ear, which made him smile, his white teeth contrasting with the darkness of his skin. He shuffled the cards